Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. It is Francesco here. So in today's video we are taking a look at Airtable. Airtable is a project management application that combines spreadsheets, database access and also the templates function for teams to basically organize and structure their own workload. Now I'm going to be going over the core features today, as well as be diving into some of the pricing and availability on platforms nearer the end of this video. I'm going to include in the description below for those who may be a bit time poor or maybe even researching this for their employer. Then I'm going to include timestamps below so you can get everything there. So hopefully this will give you a nice overview. Again, I will be starting out with a pro trial account, so you'll be seeing this from that sort of perspective, as well as a sort of guidebook to Airtable in terms of all of the basic functionality. I might do a few more, so if you want to, watch a few of my features, feel free to subscribe to the Keep Productive YouTube channel below. Anyway guys, let's get diving into this. As you can see here, I am on the macOS application. It's pretty much the same on web as well, so you're not going to be getting a hideously different experience. And as you can see here, when you start an account, you get this thing called My First Workspace. And from here, you can essentially get started on a few of the areas. And essentially, these are called bases. You have a workspace, and inside them, you have a base for each of your different areas. And essentially, bases is short for database, but in this case, it's sort of like a short term. And from here, you can of course rename them and even give them a new color as well as an iconography. You can duplicate the base and even get Slack notifications from there. Something we'll go into a bit more detail in a bit later. Now, the actual platform has been raved about mainly because they've introduced a new element called blocks. We'll talk about this later, but essentially the layouts allow you to do a host of different layouts from grid, calendar, to Kanban, to gallery, to form, basically allowing you to pretty much structure anything as a team. So let's get started by going into the digital content calendar. Now, as you see, this is obviously a sampler experience, and because I'm first new on this application, it will give me a few prompts as well. And you can see down at the bottom, you've obviously got an explainer. So the entirety of the platform will give you some good guides. The resources themselves are actually very easy to use and something that you'll be able to sort of learn about in your own time. Now, as you can see here, this is what the sort of structure starts out with most of your bases. Now on here, they almost sound like a spreadsheet that you can modify. So let's start with this one. So obviously at the top, you've got the ability to see the different view that you have. So this is all content by section, but you could skip ahead and see the different areas. Again, these different areas are organized in different fashions. So you can even add a different way to view stuff. So you can add a grid view, a form view, a calendar view, and a gallery view. So I'm going to start out and create a brand new grid view because I think that's a good starting point. So as you can see here, I've got grid 4. They've already pre-created a bit of a demonstration, I would say. So it's essentially like Excel to some extent. You can basically start adding all of the elements there. But let's say you didn't want this one to be necessarily a text format. You can actually change it from here just by going to any of the different areas. And what's pretty amazing is you can have pretty much anything. You can have dates. So if you wanted to set out your digital content calendar with a date to start out with, then this could be something you could do. You can even include in a time field. So I'm just going to convert this one. And what it will do here is once I open this up, you can see here that it will give me a date option, and I can choose. So, okay, I'm going to release the content on Monday. And obviously this is the whole panel for the whole file. So I can go across here and see all of the information to it. Obviously they've already done this along this side. I was just demonstrating there, but you can actually see if I just remove the block, which we'll come to explain in a minute, you can add any column that you like on here. And you can even add a section, and you can even tag stuff. You can even add a status, and they're all designed to allow you to set up whatever you like, and that's pretty cool. Now, what's cool, I guess, about this is you can add attachments here, but what I really particularly like is, when I open up this, I can obviously see everything from the layout here. So if you and your team are like, you know, like how do I communicate with other people? There is a comment section down here allowing you to actually tag people in it and start out a conversation. Now, if you wanted to modify any of those layouts quite easily, you can do that, and you can even change them from here by customizing the field type as well as adding a description. But if you wanted to, you can even add the different elements here. You can even obviously add the sections, the status, the header, the author, and even some of the social posts that they've included last. And you can even follow the feed up here. So it's really easy to get started with, and something that is very manipulative to your style. So let's have a look at the social schedule. This is something that they've particularly created using, I believe it's the form view. No, it's a grid view. It's still the grid view, but you can see here they've split things into different sections, and you can group it by field as well. So that's quite interesting. And if you wanted to, you can add an additional function down here, which makes it a lot easier. There's also a sort of tick box here, which allows you to select a section and obviously modify it, which makes it a lot easier when you're sort of going through all of them. Now, in terms of like being able to visualize stuff, there's obviously not just a grid view. I was saying you can modify it to form view if you wanted to. So you can create the form from here. And you're basically creating a new form here, but you can add different fields as well to the table. So you can create a form. You can even go to and create calendar. A calendar is essentially the view that allows you to see everything at a glance, like a timeline essentially. It's not fully timeline view. So if you're looking for something more timeline view, Monday.com's one's a little more specific. But if you want to see it in month view, 2-week view, week view, 3-day view, or day view. But let me just go to a date that has a specific item on it. They were set for, when were they set for? In the evening. So here's one, for example, but let's say I have all the records and I'm like, okay, I actually want to move this one here to one of these days. You can see here that you can change the structure of the different layouts, which is quite nice. And you can even find the record. So if I'm like, okay, I'm going to find the guide. Okay, I actually want it on Sunday now. Because that's a better time. So it's a really easy layout and easy to manipulate as well. So this is something that calendar view, I think you'll probably get on with. Of course, once I create a new area, these new sections come out, and I can even move them about, sorry. So if I wanted to move it up or down, could easily do so. The gallery is essentially allowing you to see stuff in card view. Of course, that makes it a lot easier. You can move them about. Let's say you wanted to structure it in a bit of a formalized fashion. You can go to Kanban view as well. But you can, obviously this is a grouping section, so I've done that. Let's say you wanted to move stuff across different areas, you could do. So what I'm trying to get here is the viewing options are very attractive, allowing you to sort of set up whatever in whatever manner you like. Now, you probably have a few questions in terms of the productivity side of stuff. How does this work? So at the top, you obviously got a panel here that gives you different, so if I'm on a different view, it'll give me different elements, but I can filter stuff down. So I could actually add a filter to maybe I need to change the status. So anything that is in the assigned element, and I can see quickly everything there. I can even group stuff here, which is quite easy to do. I can sort stuff. I can add colors to a bulk amount of things. And I can even add the height of the row, which makes things easier. Now, if I wanted to, I could share this grid view or even create it in a view, form view even. And down here, I can rename the view, duplicate the view, copy the view configuration to another. It's almost like creating a template out of it. Download it as a CSV, print it, or delete it. So it's pretty functional and pretty easy to get on with. Now, you're probably wondering, Francesco, how the hecky do I even start, adding more elements? And that's really simple. All you have to do is hit this plus button. It's essentially like new tab on Chrome. So if you're someone that's like that, or you want to import a template, then you can do so here. And obviously you can modify all of that lovely stuff there. Now, if you wanted to get back to that area, all you have to do is hit the Airtable logo in the top left-hand corner. That might be slightly different on some of the other platforms. But if I go over to, let's say, Agile Project Plan, you can see here, I'm just going to knock the block out of the way just for a second, and I'm actually going to show you in a sec. You can see another structure of it here, and people have made it a bit more intricate, especially I think the design layout will probably be a bit more. So you can see here, they've made it more specific, but you can see here the tabs essentially correlate to the block. So you've essentially got a whole host of optionality. So as you can see, very easy to use. Now the block side of stuff is quite the additional thing. They added this maybe about 2 months ago from today, or 3 months ago. Essentially what this does is it allows you to add applications to your different blocks. To your different bases. So you can add blocks to your bases, go up here and you click add a new block. And basically this opens up here. So in this case, I'm going to add a timekeeper to this one, a time tracker, sorry. So I'm going to the base, I'm correlating it to a table. So they're called tables inside of the bases. So I'm going to call it release milestones. I'm also going to give it a duration field, which is the sequence, and I'm going to put the duration in minutes to complete. And these fields are two optional, but they're related to the start date and the collaborator date. So for example, let's say I've got this one going, I've already got a layout there. I could clearly start this timer based on stuff. So let's say I'm already working on a project and I'm like, okay, all right, in this case I did 13 seconds of it. You can then add all of the detail of the project and it will be recorded as an item. So that's available as a block down here. Essentially these are apps. So you can see some of the demonstration ones. You've got a description here. You've got stories by sprint. So you can see here the sort of like tables that you've correlated inside of the tables, open stories, any tables. And the cool thing about the blocks is you can add in applications. In this case, I could start a Hangout. It would obviously take me to a web page. Actually, I'm going to get rid of that Hangout. But you can create a Hangout that you can invite people to. And if you had a Google Maps API, you could connect up a Maps. There are a whole host of blocks that you can actually use. A page designer, all the way from a timeline, so that might solve some of the issues. A 3D space, sending text, recording lists. There's really a whole host of them. They're obviously looking to add a lot more in the future. So if for example, this one's the page designer one, you can obviously make your whole page look a lot more attractive, and it just makes it a lot easier to consume. So as you can see, this is the end result once you've done it. So you can create a different page there. So that's very cool. Let's say you wanted a chart as well. You could obviously have a chart block that allows you to do that. Let me just create that block here. And as you can see here, it's already taken my data and done it, which is very, very cool. So you can start seeing the chart area, and you can full screen at any time. You can see all the information and the data points that come along with it. So it's very intricate. And of course, you can modify the settings anytime you want, and even all the details that are attached to it. So, you can start to understand and you can start to appreciate how potentially beneficial these blocks. Obviously, they're in their very early days, so just take note. Now, you're probably wondering, I've got this set up. I've got the main table set up. How do I, start using it in terms of things? So it's pretty easy to get starting to use. As you can see here, this is your workspace. And from any given time, you can add a new base. And a new base can be started with a template or a spreadsheet or even from scratch. So let's see what it looks like from scratch. I'm just going to call it base demo. And I'm going to add a little horn. Actually, no, I'm going to add a calculator to it. And then I'm happy to go. So once you've created this area, obviously it will go in the dead basic view. I'm going to, in this case, go to calendar view. And choose a new date. So new date field, planning for this example, and I'm clicking done. So you can see here that I've already created a table and I can start adding and modifying sections. So that's really easy. But let's say you're maybe a little bit more, you need a little bit more of a holding of the hand, which is good. You can start with a template, and the templates are essentially accessible in the templates area. There's a whole host of things, and the great thing is they're categorized down here on the left hand side and these are all designed by Airtable too. So if I was like, okay, I want to go project management, the non-profit project manager looks pretty good, or the published campaigns, or all of this. Let's say you're in real estate, this looks really interesting, and you can actually see the template demo, which is quite cool. in sort of practice. So you are able to use a template. You can use a search function. So if I was like looking for GTD, even though it's not there, probably. But if I was like, okay, I need to manage my YouTube channel a bit better, which I probably do, or I need an editorial for a podcasting, I can do that there and find everything all in one. So it's pretty cool in terms of being allowed to do that. And of course, you can get back to bases just by clicking that. Now, you're probably wondering, what is Universe? Now, what is Universe is essentially almost like a workspace, allowing you to get other people's setups and even add questions and queries. It's essentially like a community templates to some extent. So for example, let's say I'm like, okay, Danny Critchen, he looks like he's made a personal CRM. So you can actually go and view, so you can explore what he's created as a base. Now he's a former investor at General Catalyst. So you can see here that he's created this full demonstration. So it's essentially, it feels like stealing because you've got copy base down at the bottom. And what it will do is it will automatically add that to your base down at the bottom. So if I go back in here, I've basically got his setup, which is amazing. So it's almost like stealing other people's setups, which is very, very cool. You can publish your own down at the bottom, and you can become part of the community just by publishing. It's really, really easy to do. But there are some really popular ones. So for example, here there is the WeWork one, head of user design at WeWork, and you can see his layout or her layout, whoever it is, and all of their great structures. So you can see all their samples. Obviously taking a bit of time to do that. And I'm just going to go back actually to the Universe. And you can also go to I know Sandwich Video, who do startup videos. They also have their structure and how they use it. So it's a very neat resource in terms of being able to copy other people's setup. And there are so many different areas. Food and drink, you could use Taiwanese food guide. That's crazy. By Catherine De. And you can see she's using the gallery to visualize all of her ones. But you can see it in grid view. And even, she doesn't use much other stuff. But you can see what I mean right here. It's pretty functional, being able to copy other people's bases and find out where you can get started with. So guys, that was sort of an overview of the majority of the elements inside of Airtable. It's really hard to talk about Airtable because Airtable is a design your own experience, and it's something that you can take with a sort of pinch of salt. So you're probably wondering a little bit more about pricing. Now we're going to go through pricing just in a bit more detail. Before we do, just to let you know that it is available on iOS, Android, Mac and Windows. So it's quite accessible in terms of being able to download it. Of course, works great as all of those applications do. So I'm using the Pro temporarily. So that gave me unlimited bases, 50,000 records per base. So that's per base like this. So per one of these is 50,000. Let me just get that page back up. There we are. And also 20 gigabytes of space per base, which is pretty strong. 1 year of revision and snapshot history, all of the essential stuff, which you get anyway with all accounts. You get blocks, you get additional color, you get calendar, advanced functions, personal views, password, early access, and custom branded forms, email support, knowledge base, priority support, and none of the administration functions. So that's $20 per month per user, and it's billed annually, so that will be quite expensive, I guess, to some extent. You can also go on the free. Again, if you don't like blocks, the one I was talking about, then you don't have to have them. The plus and the free don't actually have it. So free is obviously free. You get an unlimited basis, 1,200 records per base, which I think is pretty reasonable for free. You get attachment style amount of 2 gig and 2 weeks of revision history. And of course, email and knowledge base support. And plus is probably the middle ground. From there, room to grow, obviously. And then you have finally the enterprise account at the bottom as well. So in terms of structurally, it's actually decent pricing wise. You can use the code in the description below to get access to Airtable. It won't give you a discount, but it will just credit me if you enjoyed the review. Naturally, it is challenging the likes of Monday.com, Task World, Asana. So it's definitely worth checking out all of the other resources before you necessarily move forward with this resource. Now, I think it's actually really great in terms of allowing you as a user to get started, to get your own area set up. But again, it takes a different, there's so many options that it takes a bit of a step back. You need to go, okay, actually this looks good and I want to pursue this. So definitely check out my Monday.com review. Obviously check out Airtable a bit more. I'm going to include some Airtable resources below. They have some great videos on YouTube, as well as a couple of other videos that I found separately. One from Matt Ragland, who was on the channel a few weeks ago. So hopefully those will all be useful. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this review. Would you like me to come back and take a look in more detail with a feature? I'll be more than happy to. Email me if you have any questions about it. I'm more than happy to recommend other applications for you and your team. So just ping me a line, francesco@keepproductive.com. Anyway guys, thanks so much for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed this one. Let me know in the comments what you think, and I will see you again in a future feature. Cheers guys, thanks.